Alfredo González, y digo que es un honor porque el caso que se nos va a presentar de Brand USA por parte de Alfredo González, que como pueden ver su biografía, es el Vicepresidente Senior de Desarrollo de Mercado Mundial de Brand USA, es un caso especialmente importante, Alfredo, y lo hemos venido siguiendo muy de cerca desde la Organización Mundial del Turismo. ¿Y por qué? Uno de los grandes retos que los países en general tienen es innovar en los modelos de promoción y de mercadeo de los destinos turísticos. Y otro de los grandes retos es unir los esfuerzos del sector público y del sector privado, y que cada uno de ellos juegue el papel que le corresponde y en esa unión complementen sus esfuerzos para dar resultados eficientes. El modelo de Brand USA, en el primer destino turístico del mundo, y alguien puede decir, bueno, ¿cómo medimos eso del primer destino turístico del mundo? Y efectivamente, de acuerdo con los datos de la OMT, el primer destino turístico del mundo en términos de visitantes internacionales es Francia. Sin embargo, el primer destino del mundo en términos de ingresos económicos recibidos por esos visitantes internacionales es Estados Unidos. De manera que les dejo a ustedes que juzguen cuál de los dos es el primer destino turístico, si el que recibe más visitantes o el que recibe más ingresos monetarios como consecuencia de esos visitantes. Pero, en definitiva, el papel de Estados Unidos es fundamental en el panorama del turismo internacional y, consecuentemente, poder tener el privilegio de contar con la presencia de Alfredo González para explicarnos cómo funciona Brand USA. Yo les aseguro que en muchos países están observando precisamente muy de cerca este modelo y ustedes van a escuchar cosas verdaderamente innovadoras, tanto en lo que se refiere a la financiación de los presupuestos dedicados a la promoción turística de los países, como a esa forma de trabajar entre el sector público y el sector privado. De manera que ahora que también hemos conseguido su atención, cosa que les agradezco mucho, voy a pasar sin más dilación la palabra a Alfredo González. Gracias.
Carlos se lleva mi presentación. Alguien se llevó la presentación, pero no importa, yo debería tener la presentación ya memorizada, ¿verdad? Muy buenos días, Carlos, muchísimas gracias por esas lindas palabras de introducción. Para mí es un placer estar aquí en México, siendo que mi papá era mexicano, mi madre colombiana, y crecí en los Estados Unidos. Pero desde muy chiquito, mi mamá siempre nos pidió que no olvidáramos de dónde venimos. Entonces, siempre desde muy chiquito, siempre cuando me preguntan de dónde soy, siempre dije soy colombiano, mexicano, americano, complicando a todo el mundo, pero como mencionaban varios, y el rector, yo también tengo corazón mexicano. Con esto quiero comenzar la presentación, que va a ser bastante interesante, como decía Carlos. Tiene varios elementos muy importantes en lo que ha sido el desarrollo de los Estados Unidos como destino turístico, siendo que los Estados Unidos han tenido un proceso de desarrollo de muchos años y a veces es difícil tratar de explicar cómo… muchas gracias, mira lo que me encontré. De explicar cómo un país tan grande y tan diverso como los Estados Unidos se reposiciona de una manera global, como lo hemos hecho en Brand USA. Entonces, por lo tanto, comenzamos con un pequeño video y después continúo. Si mi asistencia técnica es perfecta.
Dear America, you are the kind of place where people don't just think big, they think possible.
Dear America, from your mountain peaks, 6-inch heels, 20-foot waves, uninhibited style, unabashed enthusiasm, original ideas, living in the pages of your literary heroes, of your celluloid dreams, from the high life to let's get lost. It's possible. Sometimes all in the same day.
Dear America, you are a nation where anything is possible, so everything is possible. From redwoods to Hollywood, rodeos to Rodeo Drive, burgers for lunch, 12 courses for dinner. I can feel like a rocket scientist or a rock star.
Dear America, you're a place where nothing is too new, too challenging, too far away, too far-fetched to actually happen.
Where differences in ideas and opinions and the unheard of are not only welcome, it's where they come to be possible.
Dear America, you're a place where everyone is encouraged to laugh at themselves, to laugh out loud.
Where everyone belongs.
Dear America, I feel welcome and inspired every time I visit.
By a culture,
A place,
A state of mind of awesome possibilities.
That's why you, USA, by nature, opens me up to possibilities within myself. Sinceramente, João.
Sincerely, Victoria.
Auf Friestisch, Klaus.
Namaste, Sanjeev.
share, May.
A bientôt, Christine.
And now we will switch gears. In respect to our guests that don't speak Spanish, I will switch to English. In March of 2010, President Obama signed the Travel Promotion Act, which then shortly thereafter created what we call today Brand USA. Brand USA was following National Tourism Transit Strategy, which included not only all the agencies from Homeland Security to Customs and Border Protection and the other agencies to create Brand USA, the new welcoming message of the United States. Why was this done? Whoa. This was done because for years, the United States had a presence around the world that was subpar. We went around the world to trade shows, events, and other countries looked and actually showed that they spent more money on tourism than we did. And it was unfair to the millions of people that make their living from the tourism industry. And the receipts that we get, as Don Carlos mentioned, we are the #1 country in tourism receipts in the world, which employs and creates a living for millions and millions of people in the United States. But we lacked something. We lacked presence, and we lacked in competitivity with our other partners around the world. Next, we were looking at the fact, if you look at the powers of the economy, you can see on your screens there, our #1 service export, 70 million visitors to the United States, with a spend of about $181 billion, which supports about 1.8 million jobs, directly and indirectly, which if we make the calculation, for every international visitor that we get, we create, for every 33 visitors, we create 1 job. The president, back in 2010, made the mandate that there was a couple of conditions for the creation of the Travel Promotion Act and therefore Brand USA. As you see right now, perdón, let's see if we can actually raise this a little bit. There we go. ¿Me oyen bien? ¿Atrás también? Adelante también. So, the president said, we will create Brand USA to represent the United States as a world-class premier destination worldwide. And you will have funding to do so. But for that, you will need, as Don Carlos mentioned, the support of the private sector. The #1 goal was to generate 100 million visitors to the United States internationally by the year 2010. That's a pretty steep order when right now we look about short of about 30 million visitors. At the current growth of about 4.6%, we should be able to make this number shy of about 6 million visitors. So therefore, that's why we're here. Mexico represents a huge, huge potential for us to be able to generate not the 4.6% in growth annual that we need to reach the 100 million, but actually to surpass that maybe to a double-digit goal, which would, of course, would elevate that in excess the 100 million visitors. If we look at tourism to the United States, which represents 2.8 of our GDP, you can see the numbers that it represents the tourism sales, the taxes directed to that, and of course, the jobs. 1 in 8 jobs in the US, for every 8 jobs, 1 of them is in the travel industry. And I applaud this university on their 50 years for creating the first faculty to create a master's program in tourism. Tourism is such an amazing business because we actually sell dreams. We actually have the power in tourism to give something to somebody that they work very hard to earn and receive. And Mexico is actually a great example, and I will say this to my students at home, I'll tell my friends and colleagues around the world, that we should follow the lead in Mexico tourism, because I would say, by far, Mexico could teach not only the US, but many countries in the world about one great message, and that is you need to welcome the visitors. The visitors of today's world can go anywhere they want. People don't no longer have to think that a trip to Paris is a trip of a lifetime. You can fly from New York to London for lunch and possibly have dinner in Paris and be back in Rio 18 hours later. So it's not a dream of a lifetime, it is what happens today. But that creates competition, and the only way to maintain our market share is with tourism targeted and directed to one thing. We need to welcome visitors, and we need to treat them with respect, and like you in Mexico do extremely well. You're probably one of the most welcoming countries in the world. At the airport, at the hotels, at the restaurants, at the shops, at the beaches, pretty much anywhere, when you walk in, you are treated with respect. So I commend you as Mexicans to do that, and I commend this university to actually create a program to continue to teach young men and women of the value, incredible value of what tourism is, not to bring us closer together, but also the jobs and the income generated by that. Next. Our target, as I said, is a 36% growth from, in this slide, it was in 2010 to 59.7 million visitors to what we will have, hopefully in 2021, the 100 million visitors. Next. Let's talk a little bit about Brand USA as an organization. We've been in existence for 4 years since the President signed the Travel Promotion Act, and really Brand USA as an agency has only been in operation short 3 years. Our mission is to increase visitation and spend, and not only, and this is a key point here in Mexico, not only to the main gateways that we've been so used to using for many years. So we will continue to promote the gateways of Los Angeles, Dallas, Las Vegas, Miami, and New York. But we will also promote the great diversity and the incredible beauty and the welcoming message from coast to coast, from north to south. From our great border between Mexico and the US in the south to the border we have with our brothers and sisters in Canada. Don Carlos mentioned that Brand USA has a very unique model of operation when it comes to funding. When the act was passed, it wasn't just the Department of Commerce said, oh great, Brand USA, here is your money, go represent the United States worldwide. Even though there was some money set aside through the ESTA collection, which is the money that is paid by countries that have the visa waiver. These passengers pay a fee of $14. This fee is divided in two ways. $10 goes to fund Brand USA's operations, and $4 goes to Homeland Security. Now, you would say that's good money. Well, it is. It caps at $100 million a year. So picture in your mind a little pile of money of $100 million just sitting there, waiting to be used to promote the U.S. worldwide. But, as we all know governments well, there's always conditions. There was one condition, that in order for us to be able to access the $100 million that was set aside by the ESTA collections, we as Brand USA had to collect the same amount of money from the private sector. That meant that we had to collect $100 million from people that 3 years or even 2 years or even 1 year before did not even know what Brand USA was. But thank God to the vision of the president, and thank God to the vision of the first group of people that got together in Washington to create this thing that we called Brand USA. We were able to build a network of trust, because at the end of the day, that's what it was. It was trust. Most of our stakeholders today that support us financially are actual cities, counties, and states within the United States. The first year we were able to collect, our mandate was to collect 50 million on a 2-to-1 match. We got that. Our second year, the conditions changed. We were then told we need to collect the whole $100 million. Under the direction of our president and CEO, Mr. Christopher Thompson, who is a tourism visionary that spent most of his career in the state of Florida, he was able to embark on a campaign around the country, not to really convince, but to show the value of cooperation. And one of the things that you'll hear me say over and over today is a couple of words. One of them is called partners. Partners and partnerships. Chris Thompson and his vision started around November 1st of 2012. By April of 2013, there was not even $2 million in the bank collected from the private sector. So we only had a small task of collecting $98 million in less than 6 months. On September 15, my birthday and yours, we were greeted with the incredible news that not only had we collected the $100 million that we needed, but a little bonus of $32.8 million additional. That day set the stage of not only allowing our partners to know what Brand USA could do on the collection of these matching funds to provide exactly what we needed so we can actually present, promote, and showcase this incredible country, but we got the trust of our partners within the state. It was the rebirth of this agency. What we're there for is not to tell people what to do, to change their mind. No, what we're there to do is to add and create value. The United States of America has for years done great job presenting themselves worldwide, maybe some states more than others. But what we want to do is to add value, make them better, extend their campaigns. And like I said before, partnership, this is nothing we as an agency can do alone. This is something we do with the cooperation, not only as our partners at home, our friends at the WTO, our friends at our embassies, our friends at the ministries of tourism around the world, our friends in every nation and country around the world. This is a collaborative effort. The world is no longer a segment of countries that are separated by borders. The world is one big place that's connected by air service, available and reachable by all. Next. And we skip to the partners. This slide right here will show you in a quick snapshot the people that came to the table right away. Some of these companies came with actual cash money, dollars. Many of these in excess of million, $2, $3 million to help Brand USA. In other cases, as you see there, I believe some of the airline partners, which are key partners to the development of tourism, like British Airways, United Airlines, they make contributions in what we call in-kind products. They actually gave us seats so we could have fam trips that people can visit, not only the gateways, but beyond the gateways. In collaboration with like British Airways and American Airlines, we were able to bring hundreds of agents from the UK, not only to see the main cities, but to go beyond these gateways to see the great magic that the country had to offer. Next. And we do it through a very well thought of, creative, integrated marketing campaign. And it is a global advertising campaign. Most of the work that we do is not really branding of the United States as per se. What it is a co-op marketing partnership that we take our partners that are directly involved in campaigns already, the state of Florida, the state of Texas, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Nevada, and actually several cities like Vegas, New York, Orlando. And we actually take their mission and extend it to have the United States be the backup program. We do it through trade shows and missions. We are now active in creating a pavilion-style presence in every single major trade show in the world. We have created a series of sales missions that we started in India 2 years ago. To the surprise of many, we actually had over 50 American companies go to the first sales mission to India. It was so popular that we actually had 2 and already planning our 3rd. And it's a PR strategy. I think someone on the panel mentioned before that it is about communication, but it's actually about education. And I think the product United States as a product is a product, especially here in Mexico, we know very well. So a lot of times I say the words education and re-education, because what we're doing is reintroducing a product that you're already very familiar with, but maybe not necessarily to the main traditional gateways, but beyond. We're utilizing all the research that we can possibly find to make sure that we target the right people at the right time and for the right reason. We found out that our message goes incredibly far and incredibly well and incredibly economically using our social networks. I'm sure that many of you will go through your Twitters and Facebooks and Instagrams and probably many names that my daughters could probably mention that I can't, but our social network spreads fast and wide. And we also are trying to work very hard, and I'm glad to have one of our partners from Washington, Mr. Aaron Warren-Schmidt, that's here with us today. And he is helping us with entry policy to make the process of getting into the United States easier and more welcoming. I was very, very pleased over the last couple of days to hear how easy it is to get the US visa in Mexico. Instances, it actually takes you longer to order a latte at Starbucks than it is to get a visa to visit the United States. So I was very, very pleased when the average wait time after you do your application was less than 5 minutes. That is a giant step. And if we recall, many of us trying to get a visa 10 years ago when it was a process of weeks and months. So to be able to cut that time, not only to the time, the process, it is indeed a great collaborative work between the government of Mexico and the United States government, and of course with the efforts of our friends like Aaron at the entry policy for the US. And we will expand programs like the global entry and programs like that to even make it easier to connect both countries. The last thing is what we have is a global representation network, of which I will show you a slide in a minute. But I wanted to mention that the reason we have a global representation network is that, yes, we are in Washington. Yes, we get a lot of information in Washington. But Big Brother can look at everything, but not everything. So what we have created is a network of operators and a network of representation networks that have what we call boots on the ground. We opened the Office of Representation of Brand USA Mexico under the direction of Benjamin Diaz, who's sitting here in the front. Benjamin and his team are Brand USA Mexico. The work that Benjamin and his team have done in short 7 months are now, it's a model that is being used worldwide by companies that have been working with us for 2 years. Benjamin and his team are creative, they're resourceful, they're amazing. I have to tell you that the last 3 days of work here in Mexico will probably represent 40% of the entire budget to Brand USA, all out of Mexico and Central America. So I'd like to thank Benjamin Diaz and his team at Nova for representing Brand USA and representing us as well as you do. Next. This is a little bit more in detail, like I said, where we are. We have deployed our consumer campaign in 10 markets, but we have a digital footprint in 11 languages now. So from Mandarin to Portuguese, Spanish to French, we are now reaching our customers in their language. We have representation through 11 offices in 20 markets. We do have the 24 trade shows that we have the pavilion. We have our road shows, our fam trips, and we have about 200 different programs and opportunities. I don't know if you recall, I said a few minutes ago that we try to add value to what people already do, especially in the States. These programs are created just for that. They're small, medium, large. It's like a huge menu that will tell destinations within the United States. I'll use the example of the state of Montana. Montana might have not wanted or had or needed or even saw the potential of visitation from Mexico to that great state. Through platforms created by Brand USA, the state of Montana and 49 other states can have access to programs that would showcase that beautiful state and their incredible diversity within the state worldwide, something they did not have in the past. Limited resources, manpower, and so forth. These programs give anybody, small, medium, or large, the opportunity to put their products in the face of the world. Next. Now, if we think about it, the United States of America is a very big place. You can imagine how difficult it is to sell 50 states. It is difficult enough to sell the state of Florida because within the state of Florida, it's like 5 different countries. So just imagine, multiply the numbers. So what we decided was we would create a different approach, which has been extremely successful. We separate, we regionalize, and we go with the experience of the country. The great South, the taste of the South, the sports, the music. So we have it categorized as the great outdoors, urban excitement, indulgence, and culture. But this encompasses everything. National parks, museum, restaurants, theaters, beaches, parks, ecotourism, adventure tourism, you name it, these 4 pillars will reach the experience of every visitor. And the combination of these pillars is what showcases the incredible diversity of the United States. Next. Now I want to show you another short video. Many of the things that I mentioned before, you saw in that video. And we actually show this video worldwide to show what we have been doing. The next slide will show you where we are right now. This is about the coverage that we have as of last month. This is where we have offices open, where we actually have a country office or a regional office. In the next year, probably less than that, in about 10 months, the red shading will cover another 6 markets. We spoke to our friends from South Africa last week. They're very interested in some cooperative efforts between the countries, so there's a very good chance that we'll have something in South Africa within the next 6 months. We'll complete our coverage of Scandinavia and Southeast Asia. And as you see, in less than 3 years, we're pretty much covering about 96% of the total visiting public to the US. Next. One of the things that I think very important to this group, being that we're at a university, an institution of knowledge, is the fact that in order for us to be able to bring this new approach, direction to selling and promoting the US, has to do a lot with our friends at the travel trade, our travel agents, our tour operators, our wholesalers. 2 years ago, our office in England created a program called the USA Discovery Training Platform. What it is, it's a training module. Agents can take it online. We started with some very simple courses. It's graduated into several modules. We now have our partners from small to large, including destinations and products like Cirque du Soleil, that have their own module, so the travel agents can then learn more about the US than they ever did before. Now, this is the important part of the USA Discovery Program. I would say about 95% of destinations in the US have a training program. This program is not there to compete with these programs. This program is there to enhance what they already have. And again, I'll mention, to create more value to what they have. Not to replace what they have, but to create more value. This year, given the fact that it was very easy to do so, we launched it in Australia, India. We translated it to Chinese and into Portuguese. And so we'll have these countries up and running with the Discovery Program. Spanish is the next language that we'll create. Now, the reason it's taken us so long to do the Spanish program is because this training program in Spanish, it has to be one that either Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Argentina, Peru, they can understand. It's taken a little bit of time to create a platform in Spanish that is easily understood in 14 different markets. But when it comes out, it'll be huge to the travel industry because they'll be able to take these modules, and it comes with incentives. The incentives are quite good to the travel agents. The first incentive program that we did with the USA Discovery Program in the United Kingdom came from agents that took the course. British Airways selected 100 agents from this group. There was over 2,800 agents took the course. 100 of these agents were invited to come to the United States for 7 days. They flew business class on British Airways to 7 destinations in the US. They saw 53 cities in 7 days. They had an experience that most of them shared amongst themselves as the most incredible familiarization trip they had ever been to. Granted, half of them had been to the States at least once before. But they said that through this this new platform, they had rediscovered America. When they shared their stories on video on YouTube, they would cry about this new experience that they had now seen the US like never before, thanks to the help of Brand USA, British Airways, and ultimately American Airlines. Next. The airlines have become and are one of our best friends. Why? Now, I'll use the example. If you see on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you see Qantas. Qantas is the national carrier of Australia. Now, Australia is very, very, very far away from the US. As far as Australia is, Australia is the second largest growing market into US by percentages, right behind Brazil. Qantas came to the table and said, what would you like? What do you need from us to promote the US, knowing that the more promotions that we do with Qantas, the more seats Qantas is want to sell and need to sell. Since we started the program with Qantas, Qantas announced direct service into Dallas daily. So now you can fly direct from Sydney to Dallas. Last month, United Airlines announced a new service from Melbourne to Los Angeles. If you arrive in Los Angeles Airport, new terminal at Brantley Airport, between 8 in the morning and noon, you would think you're in Australia. There's about 13 flights, all wide-body jets that come in. What I'm trying to tell you is that this airline did not need to necessarily come to play with Brand USA. They chose to do this because they found a platform where we could share knowledge that they can then pass along to the travel industry. Australia is a great example because Australia is managed by just one airline carrier, domestic, national, I'm sorry, Virgin Australia, and the US carriers, and some Asian carriers. But to the US, really, it was all about Qantas. This partnership has created the potential to double the number of visitors from Australia to the US. If you look at the other logos there, we partnered with Lufthansa in Germany, same thing. British Airways, same thing. And this program will be expanded to cover Latin America. We had a very short but very meaningful meeting with Aeromexico last night, and we hope to continue those talks not only with Aeromexico, but all your carriers here in Mexico. Next. And how do you do something that the world will remember? I don't know if you know who invented the IMAX. It's a family called the McGilvery-Freeman family. I know you have a giant IMAX screen here in Mexico City. And several of the IMAX, or I think all of the IMAX shows have been shown here in Mexico. We created a partnership with McGilvery-Freeman last year to create a film. I will not call it an IMAX film yet. We'll just call it a really, really big film. This is a multi-million-dollar project that has been tied to the celebration of the 150 years of the national parks. This film will showcase the United States like never before. It's going to take about 11 months to film. I'm not even going to tell you how much it costs, but it's a really big film with a really big budget. But the people will see the United States like never before. We hope to unveil this film at next year's IPW in Florida. And let me give you a little taste of what this, I'll give you the little film of the big film. Unfortunately, the back end of my little film had a technical difficulty, So you can actually go onto our website, discoveramerica.com, and see the rest of the little film about the big film. And, by the way, the big budget was all a contribution. That was a gift to Brand USA. Now, you asked me, 3 years, is this actually working? Is Brand USA as an agency promoting the United States of America as a travel destination, is it working? My answer to you, ladies and gentlemen, yes it is. In one short year, Oxford Economics, an independent company, did a study from April to April, 2013 to 2014. And the numbers are on your screen right now. 1.1 million incremental visitors. These are visitors that had the option, the choice, and the right to go somewhere else. But no, ladies and gentlemen, they chose to come to the United States and not only come visit, but they spent $3.4 billion. And in the process, in the same 12 months, 53,000 jobs were created. So, is it working? Absolutely. And the interesting thing, this whole thing, not one taxpayer dollar to get these numbers. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close with what we call the Brand USA Anthem. The Brand USA Anthem was written by the daughter of Johnny Cash. Roseanne got together with artists from all walks of life to create amongst them what they thought in a very short period of time, musically showcase the U.S. as we want to present it around the world. So with that, I give you the Land of Dreams.
I heard you calling from the start. A river runs through both our hearts. 1,000 shades of something new. I cannot wait to play for you.
I'm so sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and cut it here.
So play your songs
If you can hear me in the
and
back.
make them real. There's a place for all we
The file that we sent was pretty big because it had all the different videos. So I apologize. Again, you can watch The Land of Dreams on our website, and it is beautiful. The first time I heard the song, I was at a convention in Las Vegas. I was still working for my previous employer in Florida, and we asked around the table who had not cried during the video, and I think one person, but I think he was looking the other way. But it is beautiful, and last year we asked a young lady that studies at the Boston Music Conservatory to sing a portion of it in Portuguese. I have to tell you, I love Roseanne's rendition of Land of Dreams, but the version in Portuguese is absolutely beautiful. We don't have that one on our website yet, but we will. And we will, and I tell you, I promise, we will have the Land of Dreams in Spanish. And I know that there's many artists that would do great justice to this song. With that said, I want to thank you. Les quiero dar las gracias por su atención. Les quiero dar las gracias por la oportunidad para este pobre colombiano, mexicano, americano, en tener el honor de presentarle enfrente de ustedes este nuevo lindo producto que es los Estados Unidos. Y los invito individualmente y colectivamente para que tomen esta nueva experiencia de un producto que ya conocíamos también, y les doy las gracias y el honor otra vez por poderles presentar. Muy buenas tardes.